Hi book lovers, today I'm going to discuss about this book, Homo Deus. I've always enjoyed reading books by Yuval. I've read The Sapiens and now I'm reading Homo Deus and it's mind-blowing. I remember a time when I was in a large company and one of my colleagues who was quite religious told me to stay away from his books, and I was wondering why. I found out later that his books are pretty controversial. I mean, in regards to religion, to money, to how we see the world, to how we think about corporations, businesses as a contract. Your whole world will flip every time you read this book. Okay, I'm going to go through a few main points or takeaways that I usually do with books. I will try and cover as much as I can, but I can't say that I even touched the tip of the iceberg. One of the key things he shared in the book is about the human soul, and all of us believe that we have a soul, right? We are individuals, we are special, we have our own right to to think the way we want to think, we have our choices, and some of the areas that he touched upon really conflicts on these idealistic humanistic ideas. One of it being that we don't have a soul. The scientists have not found any evidence of soul within us, and to the point of how they have actually monitored our brain shows that we are just basically a bunch of electrical connections in our head that forms what we want to do. And the thing about us thinking that we have free will to do anything is also something of a myth, considering that our minds have already made up before we even think about the choices that we have. So some of the experiments they did on the brain that I thought was pretty interesting in the book was that as we all know, that there's this left and right hemisphere in our brain, right? The right controls the left hand and the left controls the right hand. And to connect the two is actually, there's this connection that links the two brains together. So what the scientists did was they kind of cut off that connection between the two brains to see what happens. And one of the experiments they did on a person is to see what happens if the person opens the door. So the person's right hand wanted to open the door, which is controlled by the left hemisphere, and the left hand, which is controlled by the right hemisphere, wanted to close the door. That's how spooky it was. It's just because the left and right brain couldn't communicate each other to agree on something. Coming back to the soul, do we really have a soul, or is it just this brain matter of ours that is controlling what we do in our everyday lives? So to kind of like play around with our minds to see whether we do have free will or do we have a soul to actually make a decision is, if you try and close your eyes and not think about anything, like the way people do meditation, right? Sooner or later you have thoughts and ideas coming into your mind. Now the whole idea behind it is, are you able to not think? Do you really have control of your mind? Do you have control of your thoughts? Not necessarily. So this is just one of the examples of why the mind works on its own before we even decide what to do. Yeah, the second takeaway was pretty interesting that I got from the book, is about the shift of powers from religion to the individual, from God to us. The book kind of questions whether God is still relevant today. I know it's super controversial and I think a lot of people start to doubt the book at this point, but if you look at how our society today is governed, we're pretty much governed based on an individualistic manner, right? I mean, how we feel, what we want, what we need. A good example is about even consumerism, about companies. Customers are always right. If let's say a product is made by the best experts in the world, and if it's passed over to a customer like us, and if we think it's no good, that means the customer is right. As we all know today, customers are always right? So the power is shifted over to the customers. Even for individuals also, if you look at how the conflict of religion happens, when there's a religious war or there's a conflict between two parties related to religion, very often you hear them saying that the conflict has disrespected a certain religious party, or this party got angry because they felt it's not right. Can you see the connotation here? The connotation is about how it impacts people, how I feel. It's always about how I feel. We don't really go about saying that he has disrespected kind of like God, or God is angry or whatnot. He has already turned to us. Okay, towards the end of the book, we're talking about the future of technology and how it's going to impact us. Pretty freaky, but I feel that whatever that was shared in the book is already here. One of the key takeaway was about Dataism. It's something after religion. Dataism is all about how all of us are subscribing to this religion today. So what Dataism is really is about us converting our experiences into data so that we can contribute it to the data flow. What is this data flow? It's really about, the cloud, the internet. So give you an example of what I'm trying to say here, the book is trying to say here is about. Let's say, for example, if you're going on a holiday and you see an elephant, right, in the zoo. The first thing you do is take out a phone and try and take a video of the elephant or take a photo of the elephant so that you can put it in Instagram and submit it up to the data flow. And the reason why you're doing this is because you want to convert experiences into data so that you can share the data. And when you share the data, you feel a sense of, goodness inside you. And that's the experience that you're looking for. That's really much Dataism, the idea of submitting your experiences into the data flow. And when it goes in data flow, the data flow will be governed by algorithms, which will dictate what you will be seeing next, where you should go next, what you should buy next. Dataist actually kind of like sees this as the next religion. And that religion is basically sitting in the cloud somewhere. No one knows really much about it because the algorithms are getting smarter and smarter, dictating our experience in our lives, places we should go to, people who we should see, without realizing that it's being governed by this higher order. Dataist feels that data should be free. They really advocate for free data exchange. And if you look at the history of the world, the reason why countries can prosper and cities can control is because we are so well organized by being able to exchange data as freely as possible. The book is a really good read. It opens up your mind to a world that we hardly see. Our perceptions will be changed. Our world will be flipped around. Our ideas of religion, our ideas of how corporations works, money, even ourselves, whether we have a soul or not, or whether we have actually free will to think, will be challenged in this book. And I think that's why my colleague in the past told me not to read the book, and I did so, and I still feel that it's pretty refreshing to see a different viewpoint. The keeper rating for this book is 4.5. I really enjoyed the book. I feel it has a lot of references, a lot of value to the wider world. It's an eye-opening view of the world for me, and it's something that I would definitely keep very closely. To end this video, I would like to read a quote from the book about Dataism. No wonder we are busy converting experiences into data. It isn't a question of trendiness. It is a question of survival. We must prove to ourselves and to the system that we still have value. And value lies not in having experiences, but in turning these experiences into free-flowing data. Hope you enjoyed the book. Let me know.